The sun was setting over the barren plains of Terra Nova, casting long shadows across the dusty ground. The wind howled through the scattered rocks, kicking up clouds of sand as a lone figure trudged across the vast landscape. Jesse Calloway, a cowboy from Earth, had been lost in this alien world for days. His parched lips cracked in the dry heat, and his steps grew slower with every passing hour. He had no idea where he was or how to get back to the colony, but all he could do was keep moving, hoping to find shelter or some sign of life. Jesse was a simple man, a man of few words and fewer cares. He had come to Terra Nova with a group of outlaws, but when their raid had gone wrong, they left him behind. Now he was paying for their betrayal. His food was nearly gone, and his water supply had run out yesterday. If he didn't find something, soon he'd be another casualty of this unforgiving world. As he stumbled forward, a faint glimmer of light caught his eye in the distance. He squinted against the bright sun, unsure of what he was seeing. A large structure, half buried in the sand, seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly glow. Jesse's heart quickened. Could it be a building? A sign of civilization? Or maybe just another mirage, a cruel trick of the desert? He wasn't sure, but he didn't have many options left. He started walking faster, driven by the hope that this could be his salvation. The closer he got, the clearer the shape became. It was a ruin, an ancient structure made of smooth stone and strange markings. As Jesse walked between the crumbling walls, he noticed symbols he didn't recognize, glowing, etched into the stones like the language of a lost civilization. The air around him felt different here, thick with history and mystery. His steps slowed as he approached the center of the ruins. Something felt off, but he couldn't put his finger on it. The wind had died down, and all was eerily silent. Jesse pulled his jacket tighter around him, trying to ward off the sudden chill that crept over his skin. It was then that he heard it, the faint sound of movement, like footsteps on the dirt. A shadow moved in the corner of his eye. He froze, heart pounding in his chest. His instincts told him to run, but he stood still, waiting. He wasn't sure if he was ready to face whatever was out there, but running would only make him more vulnerable. And so, he waited. From the shadows emerged a figure, a giant woman, easily towering over him by more than a foot. Her skin was the color of rich, reddish-brown earth, and her long black hair cascaded down her back in thick waves. She wore a simple but beautifully crafted outfit made from natural materials, leather, furs, and beads. But what caught Jesse's attention the most were her eyes. They were deep and wise, glowing faintly, as though they held the secrets of 1,000 years. The woman stopped a few paces away from Jesse, her gaze steady and calm. She didn't seem aggressive, but Jesse couldn't help feeling small and insignificant in her presence. His mind raced, trying to figure out what kind of creature she was. He had heard rumors of giant advanced beings on Terra Nova. Some called them the Apaches, though no one knew much about them. Were they human? Were they alien? Jesse wasn't sure. The woman looked at him curiously, her expression unreadable. Jesse stood up straighter, trying to muster some courage. You're not from around here, are you?" he asked, his voice hoarse from days of dehydration. The woman tilted her head slightly, as though considering the question. Then in a soft voice she replied, "No, I am not. I am Lana of the Starborn." Starborn. The word echoed in Jesse's mind. It was a term he had heard only in stories, tales passed down by settlers who spoke of mysterious beings from the stars. The legend said that the Starborn were a race of giant people who had once ruled the skies before retreating into the deep deserts of Terra Nova. But Jesse never thought the stories were real. And yet, here she was. Lana, a living, breathing piece of that legend. Lana's gaze softened as she looked him over. "You are far from home, human. You should not be here." Jesse's brow furrowed. "I didn't have much of a choice," he replied, his voice tinged with frustration. "I've been stranded out here for days. My crew left me behind when things went south. I'm just trying to survive." Lana's eyes narrowed slightly. "Your kind is not known for surviving alone. But you are resourceful. I can see that. Jesse shifted his weight from one foot to the other. He didn't know what to say. Should he ask for her help? Should he tell her the truth about his situation? But before he could speak, Lana turned and began walking toward one of the stone structures in the center of the ruins. "Follow me," she said, her voice carrying a quiet authority. "You are not alone, and you should not be." Jesse hesitated, but curiosity got the better of him. He followed her, though he kept a cautious distance. He had no idea who or what she was, but she was his best chance at survival. And perhaps, if she knew the ancient ruins, she might know a way to escape this desolate place. As they walked, Lana didn't speak much. She seemed to be lost in thought, her eyes scanning the ruins with a mixture of reverence and sadness. Jesse, meanwhile, couldn't stop looking at her. She was like no one he had ever seen before. Tall, powerful, and yet there was a certain grace to her every movement, as though she were in tune with the world around her in a way that he could never understand. Finally, they reached a large stone pedestal, covered in intricate carvings. Lana placed her hand on the surface, her fingers tracing the symbols with familiarity. She muttered something under her breath, a language Jesse couldn't understand. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a low rumble, the ground beneath them shifted and a hidden passageway opened before them. Jesse took a step back, his heart racing. What was this place? What was Lana doing? Was she about to trap him here, or was this her way of helping him? Lana turned to him, her expression softening. "There is something here," she said. "Something important. My people once called this place home, but it is not for you to understand just yet. You must follow me if you wish to survive." Jesse swallowed hard. There was no turning back now. He followed her into the passage, unsure of what lay ahead, but certain of one thing. This strange woman held the key to his survival. And somehow, deep inside, Jesse felt that his fate was now tied to hers. Jesse followed Lana down the dark passage, his heart thumping in his chest. The walls around them were smooth and cold, carved from stone so ancient that he couldn't even begin to fathom how old this place was. His footsteps echoed in the narrow corridor, and the air was thick with dust and mystery. It felt like he was walking into the heart of something long forgotten, something bigger than anything he had ever known. Lana moved ahead with quiet confidence, her tall form casting a long shadow in the dim light. Every so often she would pause, her sharp eyes scanning the surroundings as if she were searching for something. Jesse didn't ask questions. He wasn't sure if he was even ready to know the answers. After what felt like hours of walking, they reached a large chamber. The ceiling was high and vaulted, and the walls were lined with strange symbols that glowed faintly in the dark. At the center of the room stood a massive stone pedestal, covered in more carvings. These ones more intricate, more detailed. It looked like some kind of control panel, though Jesse couldn't begin to understand its purpose. Lana stopped in front of the pedestal, her fingers brushing the surface gently. She closed her eyes for a moment, and Jesse could feel the tension in the air. It was as if she were listening to something, waiting for the right moment to act. Finally she spoke, her voice soft but firm. "This is the heart of my people," she said. "The Starborn, as they once called us. This was where we came to rest, to hide when our world died." She turned to Jesse, her eyes serious. "And now, it is where we fight to survive." Jesse swallowed hard, unsure of what to say. He had always known there was more to Terra Nova than the small mining outposts and the empty deserts. He had heard stories of the Apaches, giant people who had once been part of a great civilization, who had vanished long before humanity had arrived. But hearing Lana speak of her people's history made it feel all too real. "What happened to them?" Jesse asked, his voice low. "Where did they go?" Lana hesitated, as if the question was one she had asked herself many times. "We came from the stars," she said slowly. "Our people were once a mighty race, but our home planet was dying. We sought refuge here on Terra Nova. We were peaceful at first, but the human settlers came and they brought greed with them. They dug into the earth, taking everything they could find, without care, without respect for what came before." The balance was broken. Jesse felt a pang of guilt. He knew the truth of what she was saying. Humans had come to Terra Nova with their own ambitions, exploiting the land for profit. It was the same story everywhere he went, greed destroying everything in its path. He thought of the mining outlaws who had abandoned him, and the corporate thugs who had been chasing him. They were all the same. Lana's eyes narrowed and her voice grew colder. My people fought to protect this land, but we were not strong enough. One by one we fell. The last of us remain hidden, waiting for the day when we can rise again. Jesse stepped closer to the pedestal, drawn to its mysterious energy. "What's this?" he asked, motioning toward the stone structure. Is this what can help you fight back?" Lana nodded, her face unreadable. "This is the weapon, the last piece of my people's legacy. It is a tool of great power, capable of reshaping the world. It was designed to protect us, to keep us safe from invaders, but it was also a weapon, one that can destroy entire armies." Jesse felt a chill run down his spine. He had never imagined that such power could be contained in a stone structure. But then again, he had seen strange things in his life, and Terra Nova had a way of hiding its secrets. "Why didn't you use it before?" he asked, his voice filled with curiosity. Lana's gaze softened, but there was a sadness in her eyes. "It was never meant to be used in anger," she said quietly. "It was meant to preserve, not destroy. We were once a people of peace, but now I have no choice." Before Jesse could respond, the ground beneath them shook. The walls trembled and dust rained down from above. He stumbled, reaching out to steady himself. Lana's expression hardened and she immediately moved to the pedestal. Her fingers slid over the carvings and for a moment nothing happened. But then, with a sudden violent rumble, the entire room lit up, the symbols glowing brighter than ever before. Jesse watched in awe as the stone pedestal began to shift, moving like a puzzle coming together. A loud hiss sounded from within the pedestal, and a compartment opened in the center, revealing a small spherical device. It hummed with energy, and Jesse could feel the power radiating from it. Lana turned to him, her face determined. "This is it, the key to our survival." Before Jesse could respond, the sound of footsteps echoed through the chamber. The ground shook again, but this time it wasn't just the vibrations of the structure. Someone or something was approaching. Lana's eyes narrowed, and she moved quickly toward the entrance, her hand gripping the device. "Get ready," she said. "They are here." Jesse's heart raced. He had no idea who or what was coming, but he knew that the situation was about to get dangerous. He drew his blaster, the weight of the weapon comforting in his hand. Moments later, a group of figures appeared in the doorway, silhouetted against the light. They were human, but not the kind of humans Jesse had expected. These men were dressed in military gear, their faces covered by helmets. Their weapons were advanced and their movements were precise. They were part of the mining corporation's army. Jesse's stomach twisted. He had seen their kind before, the corporate thugs who cared for nothing but profit. They had come to claim Terra Nova's resources, and now they were after whatever Lana had uncovered. The leader of the group stepped forward, his voice cold and commanding. "We've been looking for you, Apache. Hand over the artifact." Lana stood tall, her presence as commanding as ever. "You will not have it," she said, her voice steady. The soldiers raised their weapons, but before they could react, Lana pressed the device into the pedestal. A surge of energy blasted out, sending the soldiers stumbling back. The ground trembled again, and a brilliant light erupted from the center of the chamber, blinding Jesse for a moment. When the light faded, Lana stood at the center, her eyes glowing with an unnatural intensity. The soldiers had retreated, fear on their faces. They had no idea what they were up against. Jesse's pulse quickened. He had never seen anything like this. Lana had unlocked something ancient, something powerful. And it was clear now there was no turning back. Lana turned to Jesse, her eyes filled with resolve. "This is the beginning," she said. "The world will change, and we will fight to protect it." Jesse nodded, the weight of her words sinking in. He didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in days he felt a sense of purpose. He wasn't just a cowboy anymore. He was part of something much bigger, and together he and Lana would take a stand.